Hey, this is Corey from Wolfpack Woodcraft, and in this week's book is Bushcraft Illustrated by Dave Canterbury, a visual guide. Now this one, a lot of you have pointed out that when I went through the Dave Canterbury series of books, I left this one out, and the reason for it is because I didn't own it. And the reason I didn't own it is because I didn't buy it. I thought that Bushcraft Illustrated was just going to be a Bushcraft 101 with more pictures, and I was incorrect. And so because you guys recommended this to me so much, you guys wanted my honest opinions on it, I went out, I bought it just for you guys, and I am glad I bought it. And so the thing that you have to understand when it comes to Bushcraft Illustrated is it does have a lot of the same information as Bushcraft 101. Example of that would be like when he explains axes. Okay, an axe is an axe. Right? He's going to explain it exactly the same in Bushcraft 101 as he does in Bushcraft Illustrated because it's the same thing. But what he does do is there are techniques in here that he explains really well, and there are techniques in here that he shows really well, and because he couldn't show them in this book, they're not in this book. And because he couldn't show it very well, he had to explain it in detail, it's not in this book. And so there's a lot of things, they share a lot of things in common. There's a lot of information that is in both books, but there's also information in Bushcraft 101 that's not in Bushcraft Illustrated, and there's stuff in Bushcraft Illustrated that's not in Bushcraft 101. And so it's a really good book. I like it a lot. The information that's in here though, again, you're getting the very bare bones basics in Bushcraft 101 just like you are this one, but there are different techniques that he can show inside of this book, the Bushcraft Illustrated, that he couldn't really explain that well over text. So there's a lot of differences in here. The other advantage is like knots. It's hard to explain how to tie a knot. And so in Bushcraft 101, I think there was 9 pages of knots in Bushcraft 101, and there was 13 pages of knots in Bushcraft Illustrated. And you can see the pictures on here are much bigger as well. And so because he was able to illustrate how to tie these knots, he was able to put a lot more in here. Also, like a bowline is in both, a trucker's hitch is in both, the basic knots, the 101 knots are going to be in both books. And so it's not a direct copy of Bushcraft 101. It is its own standalone book, but they do share a lot of the same information when it comes to the basics. And so a lot of you are going to ask me which one do I prefer. And for me personally, okay, I prefer Bushcraft Illustrated over Bushcraft 101 because I am a visual learner. I'm a monkey see, monkey do kind of guy. If I see somebody do something, I'm very good at replicating it. And with Bushcraft Illustrated, there was a lot of things in here that as soon as I saw them, as soon as they were visually explained to me, I understood them right away. I was like, oh, I get that. I could do that. I could replicate that. There was a lot of times in Bushcraft 101 where I would read something, and then maybe I would reread it and be like, okay, I think I understand. And then I'd go out into the woods and practice it, and I'm like, oh, that's what he was talking about. Oh, I see now. You know, once I was putting in the dirt time, that's when I figured out exactly what it was he was talking about. Where in Bushcraft Illustrated, I didn't have any of those moments. Everything I saw, I was like, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. You know, just because that's the kind of person I am. And so I like Bushcraft Illustrated a lot. I'm really glad I had it. I'm really glad I have it. I'm going to keep it. And so let's go through it step by step. So time spent. Was it worth the time spent reading? Very much so. It didn't take long to read because, again, it's a picture book. It's mostly just pictures with a little blurb, which leads us into easy to read, easy to pick up and get into. Very much so. Again, it's a picture book. It's mostly just pictures. You're mostly just visually learning with this book. And the thing that I have a hard time wrapping my head around is in Bushcraft 101 I talked about how there's the text, okay, you're reading a book, but he also includes these little tiny pictures, and the little pictures really help explain what it is you're reading. And I thought that that was really cool, and I thought that it really helped me understand what I was reading. This book does exactly the same thing, but opposite. There's a lot of pictures in here, and the little tiny blurbs, the little tiny text, really explains what it is you're looking at. And so the things that you're looking at and you don't really understand what everything is in the picture, there's always a little blurb that explains exactly what's going on, exactly what you're looking at, and he does a very good job at making it easy to understand. I think that's something that we all appreciate with Dave Canterbury, is how he can break things down and make them so easy to remember, easy to understand, and so that we can then copy and replicate what it is that he's doing. And this book's no different. So it is very easy to read. What I learned worth the time spent? Very much so. Like I said, there's a lot of the same information. So I had already read Bushcraft 101. So there's a lot of the same information in here. But I feel like the information that was copied is always a good reminder, right? It's something that you should always keep at the top of your mind. So like an axe, the different parts of the axe. You know what I mean? You should keep that at the top of your mind. So it was nice to get a nice reminder on all of those very basic things. So it really wasn't annoying like it is in some other books where there's like a whole chapter on an axe, right? And they just copy it exactly. And so this one might have more information, but this one has the same information, just less of it. And so you're reading a whole chapter that you already read. And so this one, being able to mix things up and spice things up a little bit, really made it a lot of fun to read, and it really gave me those constant reminders that I really needed as well. Enjoy having, happy to add to the collection, very much so. Like I said, this is probably my favorite one in the series. And so this book right here, because it is, again, there's a lot of information in here that you can't get just by text alone. This is a good example right here, is pressure points. Okay? It's hard to explain where all the pressure points are in the human body, but seeing this picture, I can see them instantly. I can be like, okay, I get it. And then if I want to dive deeper, I can Google these pressure points to understand how to properly apply pressure to the pressure points, what exactly applying pressure to them really accomplishes. I can dive deeper into those things where you can't really explain that over text, right? You can say there are pressure points in the temple, the shoulder, the knee, but you really don't get an understanding of what is happening like you do with a picture. So I'm really, really glad I have this book. Next is Aesthetics, Nature and Appreciation of Beauty. This is a great book. Like I said, every picture in here I can easily look at and easily replicate. Like I can understand exactly what it is he's trying to explain. I can easily understand what it is that I'm trying to accomplish in this picture. Just everything about this book, and there's everything in it, from traps to cordage to different knife grinds to why you use different knife grinds to the different techniques of using your axe and all the different things that aren't in Bushcraft 101. I was very comfortable in understanding what it is, and I'm confident that I can replicate it. And so because of that, I'm giving this book a 10 out of 10. I think that anybody that gets it, I'm going to think they're going to be glad they have it. I'm glad I have it. This is going to be the one that I reference from now on because, again, I'm a visual learner. And so if I have a question or if I need to remember something, I'm going to instantly remember just by looking at the pictures in here. I can easily open it up, find the pictures, and be like, oh, that's what I need to do. Or, oh yeah, I didn't wrap it around, I just wrapped it and tied it in the back. Or, it's just a very, very fast way for me to reference and get back into whatever it is I'm doing. So I'm very happy with this book. I like it a lot, as you can tell. And in that comment section down below, I want to know if you own this book, what you think of it, what your favorite outdoor book is, and I can't wait to see you on my next video.